All right, this is page 2. This side has mostly information pertaining to shadows. Shadows are cast by what kind of objects? The answer here is opaque. What direction does the sun rise in? It's always alphabetical. Remember, it rises in the east. And the next question says, what direction does it set in? The sun sets in the west. When are shadows the longest? They would be longest in the morning, right as the sun comes up. And then also in the evening, right as the sun goes down. When are shadows the shortest? We said was at midday, or you could also say that's at noon because noon is midday. In the evening, which direction do shadows point? Now be careful here. In the evening, we know that the sun is in the west, so the shadows will point in the opposite direction. They'll point towards the east. So in the morning, which direction do shadows point? Again, be careful here. We know the sun is in the east in the morning, meaning the shadows will point the opposite direction and they will point towards the west. At midday, which direction do shadows point? If they're going to be any direction, they're very, very short. They're usually typically right underneath the object, but I did mention that they would point north just a tiny bit. So we're gonna put north and then in parentheses a little bit. In which season is the sun at the highest point in the horizon? The horizon is the place where the sky and land meet, far off in the distance. So at which season is it the highest in the sky at noon? That would be in summer. And then what causes the daily cycle of day and night? The rotation of the earth. If the earth did not rotate, one side of earth would be in daylight all the time and the other side would be in darkness all the time. Okay, so make sure you understand these. If I give you a picture of maybe a sun and an object and a shadow going one way or the other, make sure you can tell me what time of day it is based on where the shadow is located. All right, at the bottom of the page, we also have a different type of application question with shadows. It says, the following picture shows students walking down a path on a winter morning. Okay, that's very important. It's morning time. You are looking at their backs. Write a letter in the boxes to indicate which direction the students are facing. Then go back and fill the boxes to show the other directions. So I have 4 directions here: north, south, east, and west. Okay, well, the first thing I need to realize is that, again, this is morning time. If this picture is taken in the morning, where is the sun going to be? Well, the sun rises in the east, okay? So in the morning time, sun's going to be in the east. So where is the sun based on where their shadows are? Well, I can see their shadows are going directly behind them, which means the light source must be on the opposite side. Therefore, I know that this direction must be east. Now, from there, I can fill in the other boxes. Opposite of east, we know would be west, okay? Then for north and south, basically I need to remember my compass rose, right? Never eat soggy waffles. That should be your compass rose directions, okay? Or some people say never eat soggy wheat, maybe, okay? But anyway, it's always north, east, south, west. So from east, if you go to the left, okay, in between east and west on this side should be north. And if you go to the right of east, you should have south. Okay, you will have a problem very similar to this question on the test, so make sure you're able to figure out the different directions there. Now, going on to the next section, lift my camera up here so I can get my paper situated. All right, we talk about what is weather. Okay, we're gonna talk about, review some of what we discussed between weather and climate. Weather, we said, is the condition of air or the condition of the atmosphere at a specific time and place. Okay, the word we used there was instantaneous. Okay, now that's kind of a longer word, but if you look carefully at the word, in the very first part of it is the word instant. Okay, it happens in just an instant. It's what is the air like right now in this instant. Okay, someone who studies weather, we said, was a meteorologist, coming from that Greek word meteor, meaning any phenomenon in the heavens. Meteorologist. Then what is a weather variable? Okay, in science, we use this word variable quite a bit to talk about things that change. Okay, so a weather variable is any weather factor that can change. Any component of weather that could change on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, precipitation, temperature, humidity, visibility, air pressure, all of those things would be examples of weather variables, okay? So you should be able to fill those in from your notes on your own. You also need to know, though, the weather tools that are used to study those, okay? So I'm gonna put a little asterisk here. Also, study weather tools. So for example, if I give you a question that says something like, is a thermometer used to measure air pressure? You would say, no, a barometer is used to measure air pressure. So make sure you know the tools that measure the different factors and then what the different factors are. What is climate? Climate is the atmospheric conditions So we'll just say the atmosphere conditions that are typical, or what you would expect, of a given place. Okay? The typical climate of Florida is hot and sunny. The typical climate of the North Pole is snowy and cold. Okay? And then what are the two weather variables that are the most important for determining climate? It is temperature and moisture. So temperature, this is an and sign, and moisture. All right. Now, going on to our planets review, we actually are not going to learn that until Monday. So let's put a big star by this. We'll come back and review that once we complete those notes on Monday. Some of you probably already know this, but we're going to come back and fill it in anyways. Now, for this chart, it says list characteristics of each object. You don't actually have to fill in every single characteristic that we talked about. The reason I give you this chart is because I want you to study characteristics of each of these, because the questions will look something like this. Rotates once every 27.3 days. Okay, well that means it spins around. Or no, I'm sorry, this should say revolves, not rotates. That's the wrong word. See, even I mess it up. Okay, so revolves. That means it completes one full revolution. It goes around something else once every 27.3 days. Then you have to decide, is that describing the Earth, the Moon, or the Sun? Well, the only one of these three that makes a complete revolution around something else every 27 days is the Moon. So you would write an M for Moon. What is the only place known to have life? Well, that's going to be the Earth. You put an E in the blank, etc. Okay, so you can go back to your notes and fill in this chart on your own, or if you just want to take the particular notes and study those, that's also fine. But we would write in things like, let's see, this is the third planet. Has an atmosphere. Only place with life, etc. And we could add more on here. I'm just not going to take time to do that. The Moon, we could say, revolves once every 27.3 days. And then you could add more here and then obviously more here. Okay, this one would be revolves once every, the Earth revolves once every 365 and 1/4 days. So just make sure you can kind of distinguish between the different descriptions of each of those. Okay, you can go ahead and pause out there if you need to, but my suggestion would be, if you don't want to write down every single characteristic, because this is not all that will be on there, okay, I would take your notes, number 7, and put them with this study guide so that you can study all of them without having to rewrite all of them. Okay, I would just write a little note to myself, okay, study notes number 7. Actually, I'm gonna stop this.